Table 2 is always for Mr. and Mrs. Shepherd. They pay us in advance for the seating. You're going to have to place Mr. Riley and his guest somewhere else. Perhaps the booth next to the bar. Clearly he's coming for tonight's singer, therefore we give him a view of the entertainment he so desperately wants, and arrange for a free appetizer for the inconvenience. Don't expect a tip from the man, especially now. Nancy, darling, Nancy, when are we expecting the flowers to arrive? Oh, good, perfect. Once they've been delivered, just sign the papers and put them in the freezers, not the meat lockers. Not again, not this time. We don't want the roses smelling like tomorrow's roast. And on your way to the front, please give this to Silas. Not that I wish to gossip, but it is an important document. I suppose Cohen has found his new muse in a busboy. I trust that you'll keep that between the two of us. Who better to keep a secret than someone with their own? Right, Nancy? Oh, good girl. Thank you, Nancy. David, a moment, yes? I heard from Julia that Raphael has been visiting Sophia Lamb a lot lately. Oh, no. It wouldn't be an issue if he wasn't complaining about being overworked and underappreciated. Oh, well, it's come to my attention that perhaps he's not only seeking help from Lamb, but acquiring free help from the staff. Stirring up some ideas that don't need to be there. Doesn't that sound quite parasitic of our little friend? Your little friend, David. He did use you as a reference, and, as I recall, you vouched for him. Said he was a fine worker. Now, David, I would hate to see you prosecuted for crimes against Rapture. And Raphael, well, he's going to take you down with him. Sure, maybe I have him all wrong. Maybe he's just going through some sort of strange spell. Lack of sunlight happens to be one of the biggest complaints from Lamb's clients. So I'm told. I would never go to that woman. I suggest taking him to the tea garden in Arcadia. Sit him down. Let him take in that fresh breath of air he so desperately needs. Then inform him gently, mind you, inform him very gently, that if he continues down the path of the parasite, you both will suffer the consequences. Oh, on an unrelated note, do you remember if they ever found Timmy's body down at the fisheries? It's a shame. Shame. Oh, it would seem as if Miss Sauce is done with her chicken. You know better than to keep her waiting. Oh, and David, I'm so glad we had this talk. For your sake, that is. Yes, Enos? Is that so? Did they have the invitation with them? And they refused to show you? Good. That's exactly what was instructed of them. Thank you, Enos. I'll address the matter promptly. Did Hans show you how to work the... Oh, wonderful. You'll set that up for me then, right? Thank you, Enos. You're the only one that seems to know what they're doing around here. Besides myself, of course. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. Welcome to the rabbit hole. You are... So volunteer number 6 finally makes an appearance. We've been waiting for your correspondence for quite a while. Mr. Cohen was worried you wouldn't show, but no need for an apology. The wait was well worth it. What with your resume and all. We were all impressed by your skilled background, number 6. No, please. Number 6 will suffice. You must have read in the manual about names. Cohen doesn't want anyone getting too attached to his little experimental moths. That is, not until the volunteer work has ended. I'm assuming, however, you read all of this? You did refuse to show your invitation to one of my servers, and then proceeded to ask for the Maître d'. That was page 3 of the manual, paragraph 7. Speaking of the Maître d', yes, that is me, a Danny. Not Danielle, not Dan, just Danny. The full version of Maître d' is Maître de Hotel, but, of course, the Rabbit Hole is not a hotel. No, the Rabbit Hole is an exclusive nightclub, restaurant, bar, entertainment, etc. Fort Frolics's least written about establishment. But that's what drives everybody here. The mystery, the need to be included, to be a part of some secret fancy schmancy group. The press is always trying to find their way into the rabbit hole, which is why we've chosen so carefully for the volunteer work. Cohen has been working on his new secret project for some time now. The paparazzi knows he's hiding something, but can't seem to get an in on what it is. Besides myself, Hans and Enos are the only ones among the staff that know of the volunteers. Everyone else thinks you're a food critic. Again, that was already in the manual. I'm not here to quiz you on the rules. I'm here to quiz you on yourself. Volunteer number 2 was our first and last doppelganger. The press tried sending in a woman you might know by reading the Rapture Tribune, a Cassandra Copperfield. She almost made it past the front, if only she knew that volunteer number 2 was a contortionist. You should have seen that woman trying to put her foot behind her head. Hysterical. Anyway, may I see your identification card? Thank you. Well, we'll be skipping past your name, age, and birthplace. Those are the easiest to memorize. Let's begin with your very first childhood pet, if you had one. And your mother's maiden name. Your childhood best friend. How many fingers were you born with? Was your invitation carried to you by mail, dove, cat, or balloon? Or all 5 at once? That was a trick question. That was only 4. Yeah, you're smart. You're very smart. You were last seen at the farmer's market sampling what cheese with what hand? This was last Tuesday, correct? Who were you with? Are you taken? Do you drink coffee? What time would be best to visit the tea gardens in Arcadia? When you woke up this morning, did you have any anxiety about anything? Do you have a history of anxiety or depression? I'm not a doctor. I know, some of these questions sound extremely personal, but it was all mentioned in the manual. We really need to make sure that this is the genuine as can be you. It'll all make sense once they're, all done with the paperwork and all through the volunteer work and whatnot, and you're out of here. Now, last question, and this one is very important, so please listen and take the time to answer carefully. Meditate on it if you must, whatever it takes. Imagine, if you will, a scenario. You are no longer in Rapture. Instead, you are on the surface. You have left the great chain behind, and now carry an anchor on your back as you push by the shells and sand of your new yet old home. The world smells different. The sun feels warm. The water gets colder and colder and colder as you step out from it. No one is there to help you. No one is there to grab your anchor and toss it back into the ocean. You find that it is a heavy burden, but with time it becomes increasingly easier to carry. The sun burns the shadow of your past into your bare back, and so you continue forward. Your body is drenched and salty and pruned. This, however, doesn't seem to bother you all that badly. In the distance, there is a lit up bar, and it only becomes brighter as the sun dims from behind. Suddenly, it is night, and you are standing in front of the doors. At this point, you cannot physically turn around. You cannot look in any other direction but right in front of you. Slowly, your weakened, pale hands push against the door, and you enter without hesitation. After all, there is nowhere else to go. As you walk into the building, it disappears. There is now miles and miles of grass surrounding you. The sky is a fiery orange. This world is empty, and it feels empty, and there is nothing left to turn back to even still. A rabbit then appears at your feet. It's cold and wet, just like the water you were reborn from. The anchor begins to feel heavy once more. You almost fall to your knees with this realization. Quite unfortunately, the rabbit becomes frightened and hops away. Soon after, the earth beneath your feet starts to pull you under. The grass becomes damp, and it submerges you into a forever darkened ocean as sand begins to drip from off your head. The anchor sinks you down and down until you feel all is lost. Then, just before, a pair of bright lights begin to shine from underneath you. Something, or perhaps someone, is waiting for you in the darkness. What is your favorite color? Great response. For you, that is. Your testing is complete. Welcome to the rabbit hole number 6. I'm repeating myself, huh? Well, I do simply because this time I mean it. Now that we've confirmed your identity, the real volunteer work shall begin. As soon as my fair Enos sets up the... Too many ears around to listen. No matter. You know most of the details because of the manual anyway. And we must prep you even before starting. Here, I'll escort you to the private lounge for stage 2. We'll have to bring the twins, Virgil and Veronica. Where's... Stuart. Stuart, where are the twins? Dishwashing, really? Who are they covering for? Maurice and Jesse. You're telling me that they both called off of work? No, this is the second time this month. Take Leslie off of stage prep and get both of your posteriors in the dish room. Now, Stuart, you're being punished for not bringing this to my attention sooner. That's right. Make sure the twins meet us at the private lounge promptly. Oh, and before you get yourself all sudsy, give Maurice a call. Tell him we won't be needing his services any longer. He's a terrible influence on Jesse, don't you think? The boy is looking for the wrong type of father figure. I'm sorry for the delay. Shall we, Good, right this way. Veronica, Virgil, the food critic, and I wish to have the lounge to ourselves. If a problem arises while we're in here, please get Willard to take care of it. He'll know what to do. Got a good head on his shoulders, that one. Now, if you'll excuse me. Alone at last. Please take a seat. Make yourself comfortable. No, really. Act like you're at home, friend. This is what stage 2 is all about. Cohen wants you at your maximum relaxed state. Well, as max as it gets, for now. Once you're finally doing the volunteer work, things will get much more calm. Trust me, friend, you'll never feel so at peace again. Until your death, of course. Or when the project becomes public. Then you could feel that way whenever you wanted, for the right price. You'll find out when stage 3 rolls around. But, do you want anything to drink? Now, here, I have a few options. Now, keep in mind, as it says in the manual, Cohen wants to keep you sober, so no alcohol, I'm afraid. He also doesn't want caffeine in your system, so no soda pop or coffee. I can offer you some water or tea, however. See now, this particular tea brand is called Tea with Sapphire. I have an artist friend by the name of Claudine Fa-Asmar who helped design the packaging. Neat, isn't it? Though we don't talk much, she rarely comes around these days. Her work usually pops up every few months, comes in spurts, then just disappears. Artists, am I right? Anyway, Insta-tea, herbal, and a tall glass of room temperature water. Cold water is, I know, preferred among the masses, but it's also not good for your stomach. Fun fact. May I offer you a cigarette? Oh, no, I insist. It's the 50s, friend. Cigarettes couldn't be any more healthier. You know what they say about nicotine, the smooth taste expecting mothers crave. Isn't that reassurance at its finest? Normally I don't smoke, but if it'll make you feel more comfortable, then I'm more than happy to oblige. Well, since I don't smoke, I also don't carry a lighter. Oh, that's quite inconvenient. Oh, silly me, I do have a lighter. Oh, hold still, please. Thank Ryan for incinerate. Fire at your fingertips. So, as you know, Cohen wanted volunteers who haven't spliced since coming to Rapture. That's few and in between, as you can imagine. May I ask why you've chosen to abstain from Adam? Oh, don't worry, I'm not picking on you, friend. I ask simply because I asked the other volunteers the very same thing. The responses varied, but pretty much stayed the same. I can't afford it. I don't do drugs. I like the way I am. Things like that. Well, I'll admit, at first I thought those type of people didn't belong in Rapture. They're all just afraid of change. But maybe they're what the city needs. Here you are, right? Testing out Cohen's new artistic project, like the others. See, you may not like change, but you're here to make a difference. It's volunteer work, after all. You're not getting paid for this. The only guarantee you get out of all this secrecy is more, comfortable living? Whatever that means, right? So, go ahead. Tell me why you've decided to stay atom-free. I hope it's more interesting than it's against my religion or I was just too lazy to get injected. Fair enough. I chose to splice for my job, to be serving table 6, then make it to table 24 on the 3rd floor within seconds. They used to clap when I did that. Now it's no more than a necessity. Whenever I'm needed, I go. And it takes me no time at all. Many waiters across Rapture create that little splicer cocktail for the same effect. I'm sure you've seen it before. As for incinerate, it's just a neat little party trick. Could have gotten my hands on some Winter Blast, but chilling a customer's drink just isn't as fun as lighting their cigarette. Mother always did say I had a thing for flames. But, hey, put some holes in my head and send me off to Persephone. I guess I could really use a vacation. Oh no, I truly couldn't. This place would fall apart without me. Let me tell you something. When you have people like Stuart and Peter trying to climb the ladder of seniority, practically begging for every person higher up to get canned, then disaster is not far behind. I'm almost saddened that no one is passionate enough to try and murder me for my spot. Now, what does that tell you? No dedication to the job. Peter's too stupid and Stuart's too much of a coward. They'd never make it as Maitre D'. My only hope is Enos. You see, Enos, her problem lies in her timidness. She's no coward, not like Stuart, but she's afraid to come out of her shell, to speak up. Oh, she'd never put a knife in my back. See, I imagine Peter, right, while trying to poison me, would instead poison himself. That's just how he is, whether his mother dropped him on his head as a child or not. I'm unaware, but it definitely shows. And as for Stuart, he'd most likely not stab me in the correct way, and I'd end up suffering until my very last breath while the idiot gets caught and ends up in Persephone. That clown doesn't deserve a vacation, and honestly, no one would probably stop by the rabbit hole after that. Tarnished reputation and all, the Julius Caesar of private nightclubs. Et tu, Stuart? I think not. I don't try to pressure Enos all that often, but I suppose I'll have to break her at one point. She can't always be like this. My methods for doing so. Ah, sorry, I forget. You're not an audio diary. But it's interesting to me that I felt such a comfort in your presence. Enough comfort that I almost spilled my secrets. Oh, Six, I hardly know you. How dare you be all friendly and polite like this? I'm not supposed to get attached. The other volunteers just went on and on about their own little lives, and here you are, all quiet and cozy, perfectly content with letting me talk. I feel slightly unprofessional. Naughty thing, you. In fact, you remind me of my little Enos. You can see it, can't you? Perhaps you're trying to gather information. Maybe you are what the press. Clever, clever. Oh, but I doubt that. Anyone looking to publish a story would have question after question after question. You're just a quiet little thing, refuses to speak unless spoken to, if even that. We're all smart enough to know that paparazzi or press, neither one could keep their stupid mouths shut for more than a minute. Cohen would really like you. Are you a fan of his work? I remember when I first laid eyes on his magnificent artistry, you could say I was enchanted, but it was nothing compared to the time I saw... Ah, Enos. Is it ready? Wonderful. On to stage 3, friend. I hope you're ready. I know it looks intimidating, but on the inside it's actually quite cozy, unlike most people. Now, something you should know before we strap you inside this thing. This is completely experimental. I won't say what is to be expected because we found that the other 5 had different experiences. There's 0 expectation to the pod, and unfortunately, there's nowhere else to go. I do, however, promise that you'll be safe. As it states in the manual, nothing physical comes from this. It's all in your head. Do you hear me? It's all in your head. Enos? Good luck, number 6. That will go on your evaluation.
Never get clean. They never get clean. They never get clean.
Six. Six. Oh, Six, welcome back. I hope you had a fun trip. Oh, now, Six, be careful. The after effect of the pod is still to be determined. While I have you conscious, I need you to tell me what you may have seen or heard in there. Every detail counts. Okay, go. Interesting. Enos, did you record all that? Perfect. We'll be sending that into Cohen immediately. As for you, Six, I'm sorry, but there's no time to recover here. You'll have to go back to your apartment. People start asking questions if you're here for far too long. But take this. And don't lose it. It's my telephone number. Make sure you call me if you have any questions or concerns. I'll see you around, Six.